This is Cicero. Cicero is the keeper of the Night Mother and one of the last bastions of hope for the original Dark Brotherhood. The Dark Brotherhood of the old days when the five tenets were treated as treasure and not trove. Cicero is one of two members of the Dark Brotherhood outside of Astrid's small-time family in Skyrim. He represents the Night Mother and takes her wherever he goes, no matter where he goes. And this is something that defines him. This is the Adoring Fan, a small wild Bosmer with no name to be called other than the Adoring Fan. And while he's just like any other Bosmer in the game, to us he is one of the most distinct characters in all of the Elder Scrolls. He can be obtained as a follower after you finish the arena questline and become the Grand Champion. This is enough to give him the courage to approach you and ask you can he follow you around even though he sees you as a higher being. These two characters are the main topic of discussion today, and it's been a very long time since I've done a lore video dedicated to anything other than a hard to not so hard decision in Skyrim or a random mod video about guns in Skyrim. Today we will be doing something similar to my Skyforge video or the very old videos I did back in 2016 on what happened to the protagonists, or is Sheogorath the champion of Cyrodiil. If you haven't seen them videos and you are a fan of lore and answering questions in the Elder Scrolls, they are a wee bit mediocre, but I'm very proud of them for their time and they are a huge part of my channel in helping me see what type of content was right for me to make. But enough chit chat, I want you all to listen to what I have to say about this topic, and make sure when you finish the video to spark up your own thoughts on the subject in the comments below. I love seeing you guys debate topics. The Elder Scrolls lore is a fascinating subject, and there are so many questions not answered that we can only try and answer between ourselves. So sit back and relax as we delve into the question, is Cicero the Adoring Fan? So starting off, I want you to all know we have a very limited amount of information on this subject. While one of the two characters is more fleshed out than the other, well, that's the problem. We don't know the other. The Adoring Fan serves as one purpose in the 4th Elder Scrolls game, and that is to be a chirpy follower who does nothing but just bask in all your glory, sniffing the very air you walk and thrusting you into his dreams at night. Cicero, on the other hand, plays an extremely huge part in the 5th Elder Scrolls game, serving as the nutjob jester carrying around the Night Mother and bringing her to the Valkyrie Sanctuary, invading Astrid's tight, cramped family. You will spend a lot of time talking to him, and you can also take him with you as an obsessive follower who will make sure you don't take a knife in the back, bar he decides you aren't worthy anymore. But Cicero, he's important. The ghost of our beloved Lucien Lechonce will even remark on the importance of Cicero and how killing him would be a very big mistake that you, the Dragonborn, should not make. The Night Mother also seems to adore him too. So it seems while you might not take to liking Cicero, everybody else seems to enjoy his presence vastly. Even Shadowmere will attack you if you start attacking Cicero. Seriously, what makes this guy so special that everybody likes? But that's another topic for another video. Today we focus on connecting the dots, and now that I've reminded you of these two and who they are and what purpose they serve, it's time to talk about the evidence we have to show on both of them. Let's start with the only evidence we have to work with, and we will move on from there. While the answer to this question might be obvious for some, I do enjoy exploring all the possible routes we are given on this tree of discovery. You will find your piece of evidence in Cicero's room, in the Valkyrie Dark Brotherhood sanctuary, and if you blink, you will miss it. But that's only if you manage to cop it when you start reading through his journals. Cicero keeps 5 volumes of journals he has wrote over the years, more specifically 15 years of content, and it's honestly kind of sad to read. What once was a strong-minded young man, 15 years later became crazy. The journals keep record of his descent into madness, and his life changed after he killed his final contract, a jester. Ironically enough, and not a lot of people seem to know this when talking or discussing about Cicero, but the important part of this whole journal stuff is to focus in and own on the very first volume of his life. There is a paragraph here which is incredibly important to our discovery into if this is the same person. Cicero arrived in the Shadenhall Sanctuary and was given a bunch of contracts to do over the first couple of months on his journey to climbing the ranks of the assassins. And the final contract he recorded in volume 1 is interesting. It reads, "Completed the arena contract. I ultimately decided to pose as a starstruck fan and immediately got into the Grand Champion's good graces. While escorting the arrogant fool through the Great Forest, I slashed his throat and left the corpse for the bears." Now anybody with any sort of knowledge on the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion will kind of get a sense of deja vu when reading this, and that's probably because you, the protagonist, ascend the ranks and become the Grand Champion. This starstruck fan sounds kind of similar, right? That's because you are most likely thinking of the Adoring Fan from Oblivion 2. He was a starstruck fan who followed you through the Great Forest, only having a steel dagger on him. Now of course, instantly you would say, well then it's obvious, right Irish? Yeah, I thought so too, when I originally read it and came to accept it, but then something just isn't right about the whole thing, and that became obvious too. So whilst this evidence is pretty compelling on its own, a small bit of research is enough to tell you exactly why Cicero and the Adoring Fan are not the same person, and I am adamant on sticking to my conclusion on this. The Adoring Fan is a small Bosmer you meet in Oblivion who travels around Cyrodiil with you, while in Skyrim, Cicero is a small Imperial who will follow you around by the end of the questline, and they are not of the same race. Now I'm sure those with inquisitive minds will say, I'm sure there is magic that can make a person change appearance, even people who are great with practical effects. Well, yeah, you are very right my friends, very right indeed. The very infamous battle mage Jaeger Tharn, also known as Jägermeister or Jagar Tarn, changed his appearance to look like the current emperor at the time. So it is very possible for somebody to do this, and I didn't put it out of the question. But let's have another look at the journals and take a closer look into the dates of the journal and the dates of Oblivion, and there's a couple of ways this could have gone, and I guess it would depend on who the champion of Cyrodiil is. The Elder Scrolls Oblivion takes place during the end of the Third Era, in the year 433, and all of the main story events and DLCs happen and conclude on this same year, with Martin Septim's death ending the Third Era and starting the Fourth Era. Cicero's journal starts its entries during the Fourth Era on the 186th year. That's 186 years later. That's when Cicero writes about the arena contract. Now, this is where it really starts to look sketchy. Cicero is an Imperial all throughout Skyrim. If you even go into the creation engine, you can see it for yourself that his race is down as Imperial, but yet this starstruck fan is a Bosmer in Oblivion, 186 years prior. What gives? Well, that's just it. I don't think they are the same person, or come close to it. For Cicero to live that long, he would definitely have to be an elf of some kind, but if he was, why bother keeping the facade of an Imperial? Also, judging by Bethesda's ways of doing things, I am going to assume through the trailers and how they go about marketing their games, the canon race and hero of the fourth game was an Imperial, since it takes place in Cyrodiil. Imperials cannot live 186 years, and even if they did, they would look very, very old. Does Cicero look old? Not to me anyway, but I think unless the main hero was an elf and didn't do the arena until 186 years later, this would make some sort of sense. But it doesn't, and I'm pretty sure I've used the best of my deductive skills to come to a solid conclusion, and that conclusion is Cicero and the Adoring Fan are not the same person, my friends, and the whole thing was probably just a wee little Easter egg thrown in by Bethesda. And even if it was the case, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they just forgot that the Adoring Fan was a Bosmer. God only knows, man. Talos only knows. But that's pretty much it. And I think that it's pretty obvious after doing a wee bit of research what the conclusion is. So that's the verdict, and that's another Elder Scrolls question answered on this beautiful sunny day. I hope this was somewhat enjoyable for you guys to watch. I really enjoyed making it and researching this video. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for all the suggestions on the Skyrim vs Oblivion Dark Brotherhood video. I'm absolutely going to be using them. I truly appreciate the support you guys show me on my videos. Thank you for it. It means the world to me. If you want to see more videos like this one, then make sure to leave some feedback in the comments below. Let me know what worked for you and what didn't work for you. And if you want to give your take on this topic, then please do so. If you enjoyed the video, enjoy my content, or just like being nice, then leave a like. And if you didn't like the video, don't like my content, or want to be edgy and leave a dislike because you don't like seeing a perfect ratio, then do it. All ratings help my channel out, and I appreciate you all nonetheless, no matter how you see this video. So thank you again for watching and giving me your support. I shall be continuing to binge upload videos and enjoy making them, and hopefully you'll all stick around for the ride. As always though, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month, or a wonderful year, and I'll see you in the next one.